Washington football. Woo! Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Burgundy Zone. I am your host, Kyle, and I'm joined by my co-host, Michael Hall. Reed should be joining us here momentarily, along with our other guests. But that being said, thank you for joining us here on the Burgundy Zone as we prep for this Fal-Ducken is what I called it. A Fal-Ducken, basically a falcon, duck, and a chicken. Well, we're prepping for this Sunday that we're going to put in the oven, get ready to feast on Sunday at 1 o'clock here at FedEx Field as we prep for this game. But the Burgundy Zone is a part of the Frederick Podcast Network. You can find out more by going to www.listenfrederick.com. But let's look into this game here, Hall. But the first thing I want to discuss is it's been said that Dax Milne, the punt returner, obviously is out for this game, along with Benjamin St-Juste. So of those two guys, and then Cole Holcomb was just put on IR today as well, and they're activating and elevating Milo Eifert, the linebacker that was in obviously made a name for himself at training camp, is getting elevated for this job. So that being said, of those guys, which one concerns you the most?
I would say got to go with Benjamin St-Juste, just how he's been coming on the past couple weeks. He's definitely been flashing, making splash plays, making pass breakups that have led to interceptions and turnovers. He's becoming that guy that's kind of that number one guy for us on the defensive side of the ball. So, yeah, with that being said, Cole Holcomb's been out for a couple games, and they've been able to manage a little bit with Cam Curl in the box and Forrest in the box and whatnot. And with Dax Milne, I mean, he's only really in the game on like special teams, and he gets a couple like plays, reps on offense here and there. But we have receiver depth, and I feel like somebody could step in and kind of replace him. I'm interested to see who they put back there on punt returns and see how that goes, if they get any better field position. But yeah, if I had to pick anybody of those three, I definitely got to go with Benjamin St-Juste.
Yeah, Benjamin St-Juste has been on a tear recently, has been playing extremely well. But that being said, Atlanta's offense is 31st in the league in points and passing yards per game, averaging just north of 150 yards per game, but are third in rushing yards. So if there was ever a time where Benji could sit out a game, I feel like this is the one for that. That being said, I feel like Dax Milne is a big loss because it gives the opportunity to have a turnover on a punt just because he brings that safety, that reliability. But also Cole Holcomb is a big one in this game because obviously, like I said, their offense is in rushing yards per game, averaging over more than they do passing yards with 159 yards per game. That being said, the linebackers are going to have a tough job this weekend, having to wrap up Cordero Patterson and Marcus Mariota and company. They love to run the football, so I feel like Cole Holcomb, that is a big loss. But that being said, I think Jamin and John Bostic have done a good job up until this point. The defensive line, John Ridgway, John Allen, Deron Payne, they've done a really good job of being able to facilitate the running game. And so it's not overly concerning, but it is a concern. But the series record between Atlanta and Washington owns the record with 16-10 with only one tie between them. Washington does pretty well against Atlanta, man. I don't know what it is about it, but one thing I will say is that on the ground, Atlanta, they average 180 yards rushing at home. They only average 133 away, so that might help us a little bit on the ground against Atlanta. That we could you really, really use that. But now, Hall, let's start talking about this matchup. Facing Atlanta, like what do you expect from Taylor Heinicke? Defensively in passing yards, they're 29th, and then they're 21st against the run in rushing yards.
I expect, or hopefully, I expect him to be a little bit more efficient than he has been of late. Yeah, hopefully he'll be able to hit those like short and intermediate passes. Like you just mentioned, the secondary for the Atlanta Falcons is susceptible to giving up yards and yards through the air. So I feel like Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, Logan Thomas coming on last week they're going to have their opportunities in the passing game, and hopefully, like I said, Heineken can be efficient enough to hit the guys over the middle, hit those short intermediate passes, and just keep on moving the chains. Because I definitely feel like they're going to stick with the same game plan they've been sticking with lately, which is manage the clock, run the ball, pound the ball, take shots whenever they're open, and hopefully, like I said, Taylor Heineke will be able to hit those. And if he is, I think that it'll be a successful day on offense for the Commanders if he can do that.
Yeah, the Falcons defense, they are 30th in the NFL in averaging of sacks per game, only getting 1.5 per matchup on average. So that kind of makes it easier for Taylor, because them being 21st in rushing yards, you're really going to be able to hamper on that. But that being said, it takes kind of the weight off of you because you're not having to do too much. That being said, last year this was one of the only games where Washington scored over 30 points when they won 34-30. J.D. McKissick was obviously heavily utilized in that game, and I feel like it's going to be the same sort of blueprint here, where it's going to be the short to intermediate stuff, run the ball, but then dink and dunk down the field and possibly getting yak after the catch. But the one aspect is they have 9 interceptions on defense and 5 forced fumbles. They are very opportunistic. They will get the ball, but you have to be accurate from Taylor's perspective. I wouldn't be surprised to see him get an interception in this game. What do you think?
I mean, yeah, I mean, every single game he either throws an interception or has a turnover. I mean, obviously, the last 2 games against the Eagles, he didn't have a turnover. But against Houston, obviously early on, he threw that pick or he threw the pass down the field, overshot Terry, and the guy dropped it. I think it was Jalen Petrie that dropped the ball. So he's going to put the ball out there. It's just a matter of if they catch it. Like you said, they're opportunistic. I wouldn't be surprised if they catch one, maybe even 2. But again, I think that Scott Turner and the offense are going to try to limit Taylor as much as possible, like they have been for the past couple of weeks. Pound the ball with Robinson and Gibson. Maybe hit Gibson in the passing game, like you said, because McKissick was so effective with it last year. But yeah, like you said, if I had to say yes or no to him having an interception, I'd probably lean heavily towards yes.
Yeah, I agree with you. And then one thing I forgot to mention, Christian Holmes, the cornerback, the rookie cornerback, Ron Rivera told reporters today that he has been having a crazy good practice week, apparently. And so they feel good about elevating him to being the starting corner in place of Benjamin St. Juste. So I'm okay with that. Obviously, that could rear its ugly head because Marcus Mariota, if I'm not mistaken, he's like one of the highest, most aggressive quarterbacks. He's second in average intended air yards, so he like averages over 10 yards per attempt in his air yards. So they like to run the ball a lot, but when they do throw the ball, they like to stretch the field on you. So that's going to be a big point of emphasis in being smart down the field, not falling for the stop and goes sort of thing. But that
Not
being
only that, but the communication as well, because like obviously the continuity with the guys in the back end. Benjamin St. Juste has been there. He's been like I said, normally out there like hearing the calls, knowing what's going on, knowing how guys are going to play certain routes and certain route combos. So that's definitely something to watch. Like I said, the communication on the back end with Holmes being over there this week.
Yeah, absolutely. And then let's move on. I want to get your opinion on this. Let's start talking about this matchup, especially going against Marcus Mariota. What are you expecting out of this defense? Because obviously Cole Holcomb going on IR, Benjamin St. Juste being out. What are you expecting from them against this offense?
I'm expecting what we've seen for the past since you want to call it the first Philly game, honestly, where they were pretty stout and obviously they had that breakout second quarter in Philly. But for the most part, even against Dallas when they had Cooper Rush, so on and so forth, I'm expecting them to be what they've been over these past couple of weeks, which is a great run defense, an aggressive defense, defense that's going to bend maybe, but not really break. They're not going to give up a lot of points. They're going to, if anything, force you to kick a field goal. And I expect this defensive line to be aggressive, to be active, get that interior pass rush by Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, Jonathan Ridgeway, and those guys. And yeah, I expect Montez Sweat to continue what he's been doing in the run game as well. He's second in the league at pressures and hitting the quarterback. So yeah, overall, I just expect this defense to stay what they've been, stay steady, stay solid, and put this offense in position field position wise, hopefully to put some points on the board.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right about that because the one staggering thing about Atlanta and Washington, they're like polar opposites in the way. Where Washington's offense in a lot of these big categories are bottom of the league, and then Atlanta's offense is the top of the league in a lot of these categories. Like in red zone conversion rate, they're eighth. They convert their in the red zone to touchdowns 61% of the time. So that's going to be huge in forcing field goals in this game with Young Ho Koo, who's like one of the best fantasy kickers so far this season. So this defense is going to have a tough task going against that. That being said, they're third in the league right now in red zone conversion rate. This defense is with 32% allowed for a touchdown. So that's really good. That's going to be a real key matchup for me personally is when they do get into the red zone. isolating and making sure that they are not getting those 6 points. If you could force those 3 points, it allows Taylor in this offense a little bit more wiggle room to score some points here because, like we saw last year when the game ended at 34-30, forcing field goals is going to be a huge evidence and key in that game if you're going to be getting that high scoring of a game.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like I said, defense is gonna have to pretty much carry the team like they have been for the past couple weeks. Make key stops on first and second down. Hold them on third down, and again, like I said, we'll see what happens with special teams who they put back their punt returns. But if they can flip the field, get a couple big returns for this team, like I said, it's only going to set the offense up in better field position with hopefully a shorter field and more opportunities to put some points on the board.
Yeah, and a big point of emphasis this week for this game against Atlanta is the kickoff and punt team, being because obviously we saw Cordero Patterson last week take one for a touchdown, which can obviously flip a game in real time. But I trust Jeremy Reeves and company to take this seriously and be able to go down and stop these guys and limit them because you cannot give up a special teams touchdown this sort of game. That would be huge for their momentum shifting type of thing. But Hall, next question I have for you, Chase Young is questionable to return as of today per Ron Rivera. He had a good week of practice apparently, so there's a good chance that he'll play in this football game. What are you expecting out of Chase Young?
Yeah, I think Ron said earlier in the week that if they do put him out there, it'd be on a snap count. Obviously, I think he said somewhere between 12 to 16 plays. So, uh, hopefully it'll be, excuse me, hopefully it'd be like obviously they're gonna probably put him on early downs, early running downs where he can stop the run, build a little bit of confidence. But I would love to see him coming off the edge on maybe a third down, like a passing situation, and just maybe see like what his explosion looks like, how he's coming off the edge, and if he's favoring that knee or not. But just overall, I just want to see him back on the field. I think that even if his play is not really effective as far as like, oh wow, Chase Young made a play, I just think that him being around, him being back on the field, his presence in the huddle and whatnot, is just going to be what really is going to shine over as opposed to probably what he does on the field.
No worries. One thing I will say with Chase is that if he is being used on a snap count, like Justina Anderson tweeted out not too long ago, that the snap count could be around 10 to 15 snaps, which isn't a lot. They just want to test it. They want to be careful with Chase, which is what you should expect. But I would like to see him more in like a third down or a red zone setting where there isn't much like he has to go a far distance, if you know what I mean. Be able to come in there as a run defender and then be able to get to the quarterback over time, I think throughout the play would be smart rather than sending him in like in a third and long type of situation where he's going to be doing a lot of running, cutting, and stuff like that. Want to keep that short. And so I think the red zone, I would love to be able to see him there. Get his big mitts up. Because he is one athletic beast. He played basketball, a very good basketball player, athletic. So I think that in the red zone, he could be used in that sort of setting. So hopefully today, he uses it, or Sunday, uses his strength, being able to get to the quarterback like a Ryan Kerrigan-esque type of thing, and being able to just flush him out of the pocket or force balls out of his hands and tip him up. So we need a turnover in this game. Washington, as of late, are even in the turnover margin, which is a huge change from where they were early on in the season, which is always great to see. But the Falcons are coming in at -1 in the turnover differential. Now, going into this game, obviously we've talked in nauseum about this defense for Atlanta and what they're good and bad at, right? In passing yards, they're 29th, and in rushing yards, they're 21st. So that being said, Hall, what do you expect out of the share of carries between Antonio Gibson and Brian Robinson?
Yeah, I think, like I said, they're going to stick with how they've been having it. It's been pretty even for the most part, but Brian Robinson, I think, has been edging out Gibson as far as carries go. I don't expect that to change. I do expect Gibson to get a little bit more involved more in the passing game, like he has been over the past couple weeks. Like you said, Jay McKissick last year had a lot of success against his Falcons defense. He was a key player in that game, so I expect Gibson to do that. Gibson's a little bit more athletic, younger than McKissick, a little bit more explosion. So yeah, I expect the inside carries, the inside zone stuff to go to Brian Robinson. They're going to keep using Gibson on the edges to use his speed to get to the outside and turn the corner. And I expect him to get used in the passing game, probably out the backfield. You'll probably see him in the slot as well. So I just think that it'll be another week of a nice duo of a 1-2 punch with them guys.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree with you. I wonder if they do go back to the sledgehammer lightning kind of aspect, where they use Brian Robinson, a lot of those short yardage situations where they use him to set the tone and then come in with AG and maybe utilize him more like we saw in week 1 against Jacksonville, where he's utilizing those long passing routes in the corner, testing the linebackers and the DBs with his size and his speed. I would absolutely love for that to happen. Because that could be a recipe for success. I think Logan Thomas is going to be playing in this game as well. So the passing, I think this is one of the most intriguing aspects of this game, because Atlanta being so bad defensively against the pass, being 30th in sacks per game, you're not really concerned about the passing defense aspect of it, you could really say. Obviously, A.J. Terrell is legit. Very good cornerback. He's going to be lined up on Terry. But that being said, you're not really overly concerned about it. So what does the offense do? Do you think that Scott Turner and company are going to adjust it and go pass heavy for this game?
No, I don't want him to don't break what's not broken, or don't fix what's not broken type of thing. The recipe for the past couple of weeks has been ball control, run the ball, control the clock, wear the defense down, convert third downs, be good on first and second down so you get yourself in third and manageable, third and short, convert third downs, and keep the chains moving, keep the clock rolling. Keep the ball away from an offense that likes to run the ball as well, so they're not doing the same thing to you on the other side of the ball. So, I just think that hopefully Scott Turner will stick to his guns, keep sticking with the run game, and then, like I said, get Terry and Curtis and Jahan and all those other guys, Logan, involved in the passing game whenever the opportunity presents itself. But definitely lean on the run game and have the passing game work off of that.
Absolutely. Now we are joined by our next guest, Mr. Corey Sanchez on the Warpath. Thank you for joining us, sir. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, fellas. Thank you for having me, as always. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. This is a big matchup this weekend. Obviously, the Commanders hosting the Atlanta Falcons, and it's the Sean Taylor Memorial Game, so they're going to be unveiling the statue, the headpiece for Sean Taylor. Obviously, Sean Taylor's daughter made a clothing line that's available at the commanders.com merchandise where you could purchase that stuff. It looks awesome, by the way. But I just asked Hall a question because Atlanta being obviously one of the worst teams defensively against the passing yards, 29th, giving up 266 yards per game, and 21st against the run. What do you think Scott Turner's game plan is going to be for this game, Corey? Do you think he's going to adjust and go pass heavy?
I mean, that's what he usually does, right? He has a tendency to lean towards the pass. But for all intents and purposes, you've got to keep on pounding this rock, especially it's getting colder. There's an opportunity for rain on Sunday, I believe. That doesn't usually accumulate to a good passing game unless you're Tom Brady in the snow, right? But I think you got to work with your horse. This is the time of year for Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson. And we saw what these guys are positive doing when we run the ball almost 50 times a game. It beat Philadelphia, and Atlanta's nowhere in the class of them defensively. So I think you got to stick to the plan. What's got you here is your running game and that two-headed monster that you have in the backfield. Sneak in a couple of passes there. But I don't think Scott will, he's still going to force the ball down the field. That's just what he does. But I think hopefully he'll rely on the game, especially after kind of the slow start the offense had in Houston last week.
Yeah, and the one issue being is that last week on third down, I think they were like 3 of 13. Just putrid on third down, and obviously it goes into long down and distances. So hopefully maybe they do run the ball heavily, like you guys said, against Philly, where they were even running the ball on third down, and that helps them because Atlanta's defense, they give up a third down 47% of the time. They're 30th in the league on third downs. So this is a game where Scott Turner and this offense, Taylor Heinicke, they have to execute on third down. And that's somewhere I'd like to see Logan Thomas utilized a lot more because that's we saw that last week where he's so important to Taylor with that being that big body, long arm. I mean, that one pass to the sideline where Logan Thomas had literally just outstretched the DB to catch that ball on third down. So important to this offense. So I think Logan Thomas getting involved is going to be something that Washington needs to key in on. Now, Corey, my next question for you. What is one key aspect Washington has to succeed in order for them to win?
Stop Cordero Patterson. Something we didn't do well last time around. You got to stop that cat. Dual threat. I mean, on special teams, he can catch the ball. I think he's got more rushing yards, though, than he has receiving yards this year. So they've really turned him into a weapon. He's like Antonio Gibson Sr., right? So you should have a way to stop him. And then also you look on the opposite side, the young man hasn't had the best this season, but I remember irrelevant rookie wide receiver in Tampa Bay by the name of Mike Evans back in 2014, and he decided to have a field day around this time of year at FedEx Field. So I would, key in on him, stop him as well. Luckily, or fortunately, knock on wood, right? There's no Kyle Pitts. So I think those are going to be two guys. And then we always seem to struggle with mobile quarterbacks. Marcus Mariota is not putting up elite numbers, but he's getting the job done. Nobody would have thought Atlanta was 5-6 at this point, contending for a playoff position and possibly even winning the division, although a lot of us think Tampa's going to wind up winning it down the stretch, but they're still in it. So, I mean, those are your three keys on defense, especially with no Juice and, of course, with no Cole Holcomb. That's what you're going to do. You got to stop these guys and cut them off at their legs.
Yeah, and to your point, in 7 games, Cordero Patterson has 86 rushing attempts for 454 yards and averages 5.3 on the ground. And then with 5 touchdowns and averages 64 yards per game. So in 7 games, 5 touchdowns, they try to utilize him heavily in the red zone. So I think that's a great point by you. The one aspect I will say is Grady Jarrett and being able to control the trenches up front for Tyler Larson and Trey Turner and Andrew Norwell. It's going to be a heavy task. Grady Jarrett's our leading sacker on the team at 5.5 sacks on the ground, 10 tackles for loss, and 3 pass deflections. So almost like a Daron Payne-esque is how you can view Grady Jarrett. So being able to isolate him, limit him as much as possible from affecting the passing game and affecting the running game is going to be objective number one. I think if they are successful in limiting Grady Jarrett, I think they succeed in winning this football game. What do you think, Hall?
Yeah, you guys nailed both the guys. I was gonna say Grady Jarrett on the defensive side of the ball. He's a guy that can ruin your running game. He can get that interior push, like you said, kind of like a Jonathan Allen, Daron Payne type. Just really mess up your day from the interior of the pocket and interior of the run game. And like you said on offense, Cordero Patterson, the whole offense runs through Cordero Patterson. Last year he went off against us 3 touchdowns, I believe it was, either 2 or 3, something like that. So everything goes through him, runs through him. With Kyle Pitts being out, obviously you got Drake London, but I feel like the secondary can kind of keep him at bay for the most part. Like Corey said, if they can chop him off of the legs, stop that run game, stop that kind of quick passing in, that quick run game with Marcus Mariota as a rusher as well. I think that the defense, and that plays into the defense's hand, obviously. The defense has been great against the run all season. So I think that, you stop him in the run game, stop Mariota in the run game, Cordero Patterson in the run game. You pretty much stifle that offense.
Yep, and now our next question that we're going to have is from my guy, Mike Puckett, who was in Qatar watching the World Cup. Went and traveled there with his wife and friends, which have a great time. Dude, he posted a picture on Twitter of him standing on top of a camel in front of the pyramids, which is like, what are you doing, dude? Everyone's having Thanksgiving. You're standing on top of a camel in Egypt. What are you doing right now? But his question is, Corey, do you think Taylor being limited throwing the ball deep limits the workload for Jahan Dotson? And do you think it will be a problem if we can't get him more involved in those situations?
Yeah, it probably is because, Taylor has a tendency to lean in on Terry, probably too much to his detriment, right? So it probably does affect the development of it. Look at De'Ami Brown, right? Back when we played Tennessee, he had 2 touchdowns, but I think he's had like 1 catch maybe since then, and that was against Philadelphia. And I think that was more like a little comeback route. So yeah, it can cause a problem though with the development and everything like that. But I always tell people that in this situation, we're winning ball games. So I mean, you play for right now. It doesn't matter what it is. And this team, give it credit, right? They have been developing talent. It's like I said on my show.
Thank you.
Ron and them develop talent. It's like instant oatmeal. You can't just pour the milk in there and get ready. It's hot and ready to go. No, you got to put it in there a little bit of times, right? And it's got to develop. It's got to cook and pressure, and then you can put all the sugar, milk, whatever you want to, and it's going to taste delicious. So at the end of the day, yeah, it might be a problem, but I think that's the ability of the coaches to get Jahan in the right, use him properly, kind of like what you're doing with Curtis Samuel, right? Maybe you have to use him like that or put him in at special teams and see what he can do. Maximize his potential, not just at the wide receiver spot, because he was a high pick for a reason.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. One thing I will say, I don't think the arm strength will limit the usage of Jahan Dotson because he had 4 touchdowns, right? And one of the reasons why he had those 4 touchdowns is everyone talks about his route running in the red zone. It's you can utilize that because in that short yardage space area, his route running is so crisp, so clean that it creates space for everybody else. So it's not necessarily that he's scoring touchdowns because he's overcapping the defense like Diami Brown. He's better at being able to route run, cut, make these great routes happen, and that can pay dividends for somebody like Taylor going up and down the field between the 20s. That being said, he was on the snap count last week, so I'm pretty sure he didn't get that many. The more snap counts he gets, I think he will be utilized more because the more snaps you have where the eyes are taken away from Terry McLaurin, the better off your offense is going to be overall. So we want to get Jahan Dotson and Curtis Samuel involved so everyone stops looking at Terry and we can utilize these other weapons. So I don't think it has all that much to do with the arm strength and correlation of Jahan Dotson's usage. I just think the more snap counts, the more usage he will get. And a little bit by little, you'll see that happen.
Yeah, and to that point, you've seen over Taylor's career here in Washington that once he gets on the other side of the field, like between the 40, 30-yard line, he's going to throw some deep balls and like some balls to the end zone. And that's where Jahan Dotson obviously specializes in. He was that red zone threat, that end zone threat that could get deep on you, burn you deep, go up and win those 50-50 balls. So I think if they get on the other side of the field between that 30, 40-yard line, that's when Taylor likes to take his shots to the end zone. So they can use Taylor right there as far as like the arm strength. So I don't think that'll be a problem. You've seen Scott Turner getting him involved in the running game as well with those jet sweeps and reverses and whatnot. So there's definitely a way that they can use Jahan. He's great after the catch. He's great in open space. Get him on some of those crossing routes and whatnot. Get him the ball early at the line of scrimmage on like a slant or something like that. And just let him, like I said, get up the field and do what he does best, which is get in open space and get yards after the catch. So I don't think it's going to be a big problem with going forward because Taylor Heinicke is. Only thing I would say is Taylor Heinicke has that connection with Terry, and it seemed like Carson Wentz had that connection with Jahan. So now that the roles are kind of like reversed, I think that you're going to see that Jahan Dotson usage out of Terry, like we were getting from Wentz, as opposed to like Jahan Dotson with Heinicke, like we were seeing with McLaurin. You know what I'm saying? I confused myself there, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I got you. I hope everyone had a happy Thanksgiving yesterday. That was a great time. But Corey, our next question is from the Colonel. Thank you, Colonel. Happy Thanksgiving. He asks, Corey, am I the only Washington fan excited, but with some apprehension regarding Chase Young's debut this weekend?
No, he's not crazy. I think if you're paying attention and if you're watching closely, I think we all have I wouldn't even really call it apprehension. I think we'd be a little bit more nervous because we want to see him out there. I've always been under the impression that he needs to play whenever he's ready. He needs to play this season, not wait till next season and put him on the shelf because you want to play your best ball with your best players. And give credit to our guys who've been like James Smith-Williams and Tuhill, who've been out there and playing, and they've been playing like dogs. But, to get Chase back out there, hopefully adds another dimension. And my thing is we got to preface that Chase might not be quick off the line like he was before this injury. It's going to take some time getting back. I think Adrian Peterson spoiled the whole football world.
He did.
Back in 2012 when he just came out there and looked like nothing had happened to him.
He took a switch to the ACL injuries.
Yeah, those needles are something else, aren't they? I didn't say that out loud, did I? I read the wrong card. But yeah, and I think I think there should be. There's good, healthy apprehension to it, but I think if you're a fan, you should be nervous. You should be excited, all in the same thing. It's like the wedding day, right?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and that's how I kind of am looking at this. But with Chase Young, like let's look at it from this aspect. Would you feel better about Chase Young heading into next season if he didn't play for almost 2 years? Like, that's what you're essentially saying, is that his ACL is taking him out for that amount of time, and that's not him playing football at all. And I understand he's coming off of an injury, but I almost feel better about him playing this season because you want him to at least get some work in. Last thing you want is to have this guy a year and a half without doing any work in football games. Yes, he's going to be on a snap count, but you're excited about seeing him just because he's 99. because what he brings. He is a presence. He is an alpha. He's got BDE. He's got everything that you need. That's Chase Young. And you just want him on the field, and that's why we're all excited for it. But we're all kind of concerned that he could make something worse for himself even longer. But more importantly, it's just the expectations for me personally. Want to keep those down because you don't want to put too much weight on Chase Young because he was a high draft pick. You don't want to piss off RG3 again. You don't want to crap on a high value draft pick because then RG3 gets upset. So don't do that. Just keep your expectations low.
Oh, Bob.
Yeah, I don't have like huge expectations like we talked about. He's going to be on a snap count. It's only going to be in certain situations that he's on the field. My only concern and apprehension would be that because I feel like obviously he's a professional athlete. He knows his body better than probably anyone. So if he feels he's ready to go out there and the doctor says he's ready to go out there, then I have no apprehensions or anything like that something like negative would happen. It can only be positive, like you said, because the more work he gets on the field this year, it's only going to better himself going into next year when he actually has an off season to actually like train and whatnot and not be like rehabbing his knee. But yeah, my only apprehension would be that he goes out there and maybe tries to do too much because he's back on the field and like, got that excitement, blood's flowing, heart's pumping, adrenaline's rushing. He tries to do too much and then gets out of his rush lane, kind of like people saw last year. And I just, like I said, I don't want him to go out there and try to do too much and get out of position. And he's like the glaring problem, like, oh, they busted a big run because of Chase Young trying to do too much, So that would be my only apprehension is just come out, play your game, stay within the defense, play within the scheme. And like you said, you're Chase Young, you're going to bring Chase Young to the field. Just do what Chase Young does.
Yep. And now, Hall, I want to keep this next question from the Colonel to you. Is Carson getting another shot or are we saving our 2023 second-round pick?
My only answer to that would be ask that question again in 2 weeks after that first New York game going into the bye week. I think that I will have a better answer then.
I think it will happen. Just given that the NFL is just such a very hardcore and injury-plagued league that I think that something could happen to Taylor. And Carson is, I think, healthy now and he's ready to go. So if that does happen, I think Carson does get another shot, but I still think that we save that second-round pick. Am I really concerned about the difference between a second and third-round pick? I'm not. I think that let's say they have that second-round pick now, they don't have a third, they would just take in the person in the second round that they won the third. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's all good, dude, honestly. And I'm not really concerned all much about it. But I do think, I have a sneaky suspicion that Carson's going to have another shot. And it's not because of Taylor's performance on the football field. I just feel like it's inevitable with nature. What do you think, Corey?
Yeah, to be continued, as they were saying.
Yeah.
Cue the music after they used to do on Power Rangers, right?
We're not excited enough for this episode, man. We're not jacked up.
Hey, man, look, I think we're like cautiously and confident. That's what it is. Usually we always have some stuff there's some rigmarole going on. It's been too quiet this week, and that's been so great. Like, that's the great thing about it. Don't fool the calmness of all of us here, right?
Yeah.
We're excited. We jacked up. We're fans. We super fans, right?
We chance to go to Super 7-5. I'm hyped up.
Right.
I'm happy. I'm just like you said. It's one of those like cautious
like
confidence.
Yeah. Oh man,
get hyped.
This is me. This is me hyped up.
Look, I called Michael Irvin right. Look, I called Michael Irvin right now and tell him give me some of that powder. I said we get hyped right there in a minute.
Corey, I don't think.
Oh, yeah, you hear me, Jerry? We're gonna get ready. We're getting ready for Atlanta, and we're gonna get in, and we're gonna put them in a body bag.
I don't think you could handle the powder that Michael Irvin gets, dude.
No, Michael Irvin couldn't handle the powder I get. But I told him myself again. Oh, right. Get that off of a
dude, yeah, you get the powder from Michael Irvin, you'll wind up naked driving behind the wheel. Now, let's go to our next question. This is from our Discord chat server, Corey. This is from our guy, Brandon Reinbold, Meese21. He says, it seems like the front office finally got things right with the Sean Taylor statue tribute. Will the statue be moved to the new stadium? What are your thoughts on the tribute?
I think that it kind of makes me wonder, why did you do all that mess last year with the pictures in front of in front of the porta potty, and old Jackson Mahomes doing his little dance on there and everything. I'm like it looked bad. I mean, and it was rushed. This took time. It included the fans, like I said, it included his daughter, and she's got some brands. I think I saw Taylor's hat during his press conference. I said, that's what it's about right there. That is what you needed to do. And this could have took some time. And there's been knocks in the fan base about the new front office and not really understanding the traditions. They got it right. Let's see. They've got it right from the appearance. Now it's all about the execution of it. I think they will get it right. And probably, once we have a new stadium, pick that bad boy up, plop it right there at the new stadium, wherever it is, whether it be Dumfries or Delaware, just put it somewhere. So, that's no, but I think they got it right. And this is respectable and a great way to honor Sean's memory.
Yeah, to be perfectly honest with you, Meese, I didn't think last year was that big of a catastrophe like everyone was making it out to be. To be perfectly honest, I felt like people were comparing it to other teams retiring players that were living. And it's like that's a different kind of situation going on there. And it's like I understand we all want Sean, and it's unfortunate that it happened, but it's almost like you're taking the death out on them in a way. Like they tried making it right. And look, is it stupid that the porta potties were there? Yes. But you could literally just change the camera the opposite way, and that porta potty wouldn't be there, is my whole point. And so it's just like little small mistakes that we make it out to be too big. That being said, I love the statue aspect of it. I don't think it was that big of a mistake. I didn't think they needed to make it right, but this is awesome that they're doing it, to be perfectly honest with you. And it's just something that Sean deserves that respect, and I know that there's some people out there that think that he gets too much attention. That being said, what's the old quote from Mike Tomlin? We do not care. We do not care.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm happy that like I said, they've seemed like they've planned this one out. They've taken their time, got his daughter involved. They got a clothing line, which definitely going to cop one of those hoodies. Some things are frizzish.
Yeah, dude.
But yeah, I'm just happy.
Tomorrow, I hope they come out. I mean, not tomorrow. Why do I keep thinking today is Saturday?
I keep thinking today's Saturday too.
Yeah,
Dre. You're not
I
the
know.
only one.
Because 4-day weekend screwing me all up. But I hope that they do come out. The defense comes out with the taped up face masks like Sean's. I know a lot of people will say that's like appropriating and like trying to be whatever. I think that's an awesome thing as like a remembrance type of gesture, which I hope the fan base would actually accept and not find a reason to complain about. But
Right, I know Chase Young did it last year, and everyone complained, "You shouldn't do that. You can't hold Sean Taylor's jockstrap." And it's just like, bro, he's honoring Sean Taylor. What is wrong with y'all? But anyway,
I don't care
I'm
if
happy
Trez Way did that. Please do it.
Right, exactly. It could be Cheeseman that did it. I'd be like tight.
Yeah.
But
not in that.
Yeah, I'm just happy that yeah, I'm happy that they're building a statue, and yeah, like you said, when we get a new stadium, they're definitely going to take that, plop it somewhere in the new stadium, probably in the concourse outside, like they have right now, FedEx, a little Legends area or whatnot. So, yeah, love the idea. Love their honoring Sean. And like Corey said, now it comes down to the execution. And the way things have been going on the field, I have no reason to doubt that off the field that they're going to kill this as well.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I think just based off what I've seen, maybe I'm an idiot for saying this, but it's kind of like a headstone like you would for the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but it's movable. So it's not like obviously an immovable statue. So your question, Brandon, is it staying put there? No, it can always be moved. But I love that for Sean. I feel like Sean should have that, and that should go in the hallway in the concourse on the 300 section next to his timeline. That would be fantastic. His next question, Corey, from Brandon: 3 keys to beat the Falcons. Who is the most important player that has to have a good game to beat the Falcons?
Oh, best. I always say you got to dominate. I'll say the last part for last. Dominate on third downs on both sides of the ball. You got to be better. This isn't Houston, so you got to convert third downs. Defense did their job on third down. Keep on doing it. Another boring thing, you got to win the turnover battle, right? You got to force them, and you got to be smart with the ball. My bad joke with Taylor sometimes is he's always good for one. Don't let that one kill you if that's the case. And then dominate the time possession running game. This game is going to be quick. It's going to be done in about an hour real time because they didn't run the ball. Like this is hopefully Scott doesn't get pass happy there. And I think to win, who has to have a dominant game? It's going to be one of the two guys in the backfield. It's got to be Antonio Gibson, or it's got to be Brian Robinson. And I think if one of those guys, one or both of those guys have a dominating game, and dominating doesn't have to be 100 yards, right? Because we've seen them do it with 80 and 50 together. But if they combine for like 130 some yards, 150 yards, there's no doubt in my mind we win this game.
Now, those are great, man. My three keys, I will say, is going to be red zone conversion rate. Obviously, Atlanta's offense is 8th in being able to do so. Our defense is 12th. That's a big point of emphasis. And then for them, on their defense, they're 23rd in red zone conversion rate, and our offense is 23rd. So that what goes to show you the red zone is going to be huge. And obviously, third down conversions as well. Cordero Patterson being the special teams ace that he is, not giving him a punt return ability. Converting those third downs, getting points, forcing him to have to return it on a kick return, which is much harder because Joey Sly kicks out of the back of the end zone. So you want to be able to have him get those special teams touches in those kick returns, not punt returns. And lastly, I think the big point of emphasis is going to be in being able to run the football effectively and making the third downs shorter. But obviously, everyone already knows that. And the one player that has to have a great game is Jamin Davis. Being without Cole Holcomb, given the fact that Atlanta is one of the best teams in the league offensively and being able to rush to football in third, I think that Jamin Davis is going to have a big game, wrapping up, not having broken tackles, playing fundamental, great linebacking play football, filling the holes and wrapping up the ball carriers when he has to, and not falling for the play action constantly and in a drastic fashion and getting back into passing defense. I think Jamin Davis, if he has a great game, I think Washington is in a very good position to win. Hall?
My three keys are the defense is going to have to be great on first and second down, which is going to have to force them in the third and passing downs, third and long, third and passing downs. Like you guys mentioned, like we mentioned all before, they're a run first team, they're a run second team, they're a run third team. They want to run the ball no matter what. So if you can force Mariota to get in those passing situations, as we've seen over his career, he's liable to turn the ball over or he's liable to be inaccurate with the ball. So that's one key. My second key would be defensive line has to dominate, continue what they've been doing up front. Again, it goes into getting pressure on Mariota. When you get pressure on Mariota early, you rattle him early, he gets off of his key, off his mark, and kind of throws his game off for the day, which, again, will lead the turnovers. And most of the time, if you win the turnover battle, you're going to win the game. And thirdly, I would say, Scott Turner is sticking to the running game, sticking to what has been working over the past couple of weeks, which is time of possession, run the ball inside with Robinson, hit the edges with Gibson, get Gibson involved in the passing game, and control the clock and play nice, efficient football on the offensive side. And my guy that has to have a big game, I was going to say Jamin Davis because, like you said, I think like we talked to – you went before, so I couldn't copy you this time. I think it's going to be – he got to be efficient in the run game.
Yep.
Get stop those fill the gaps, fill the run gaps, and like I said, take Cordero Patterson out of the game early, and it seems like this offense will crumble. But I'll go with Cam Curl as well. He's going to be down in the box playing that run game.
It's a great one.
With Kyle Pitts being out, I think they're going to also stick him with Cordero Patterson in the passing game, out the flats and whatnot. So I definitely think that Cam Curl being down in the box and helping out in the run game is going to be the guy that helps his defense out and get him over the top.
Yeah, and to your point, obviously you talked about how Marcus Mariota getting to him flustered, getting him to cough the ball up. He has 13 touchdowns this season, 7 interceptions, 5 fumbles, and only 2 of them lost, however. But that being said, he also has 76 rushing attempts for 372 yards and 4 touchdowns. So he counts for 17 touchdowns and then 9 interceptions. So he is somebody that you do have to key in on and be careful of. Now, Corey, our next question from the Discord chat server is from our guy, Big Tony Shivers. He asks, what's something y'all are thankful for?
The biggest thing I'm thankful for, it's the chalk answer, is family and friends and health. Those are the things. I think most importantly, I think all of us can say that, we're grateful for the people that listen to us every week, that put up with our shenanigans and that may call us experts on some things. Now I know Kyle, he's got his office at Ashburn Park and everything, but some of us don't have that luxury of living so far away. But I am grateful for that, and I know when I need some information or if I need to talk to somebody, I said, can you let the common folks come up here and ask a question or two, Kyle? I appreciate that. So I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, of course. Obviously thankful for family and everything like that. I'm thankful that Reed has taken one for the team the past couple weeks, gotten on his knees and made sure that he got the business done so he got some W's the past couple weeks. If you're in the Discord chat server, you know what I'm talking about. But no, to be honest, yeah, obviously it's family, loved ones, and honestly just thankful to be alive. What about you, Hall?
Yeah, it's pretty much the same. Thankful for family. Thankful for my fiance
He's
because
thankful for the 8 free parlays he got from
yeah,
FanDuel.
thankful for DraftKings giving me $25 free bets. Your boys coming up today. World Cup. Just
I
random
said in the
picks.
chat earlier, I was like, they're thankful for you and your bad history of parlay plays that are
I
giving you
know,
free ones.
right?
You're like, this
They're
dude,
re-
this
they're
poor
finally-
guy,
they're
he just
finally
keeps
giving
coming
back.
and losing.
Hey, it's a giving season. They're giving back to your boy. Yeah, so just thankful for those. Thankful for family, loved ones. Thankful for this team playing well because if not, it'd be really depressing around
Yeah,
these
it
parts
would.
right now. So, yeah, there's a lot of things I can keep going on about, but
Yeah.
those are the main ones.
Now, his next question, Corey, is if the conditions are rainy and sloppy on Sunday for the Falcons and Commanders game, what does that favor any of the team?
I would think it would favor us just because we've played out in the elements. We've actually, surprisingly enough, I think we've had like a couple of like overcast, like nasty games this year. So we should be used to it. We playing in the elements. So I think it would favor us because down there in hot Atlanta, they're just in that pretty little dome that they can open up whenever with their FUBU jerseys. So yeah, I would say us instead.
Yeah, I think the Jaguars game week 1, I think it was raining earlier in the day, if I'm not mistaken, and it cleared up by then, if I remember that. So they
Minnesota
do
game too.
Yeah, the Minnesota game. And so I do think that I'm not going to say it favors anybody because, yes, you have a bigger running back in Brian Robinson, like a Derrick Henry type. That favors that type of running back, right? Because they don't need the acceleration or they don't rely on the speed or acceleration that you need from a clean field. So like their run heavy kind of strength is in those conditions because the flip side of it is your wide receivers cannot catch the football because they're wet. That can always happen. So I'm not going to say it favors anybody, but I will say it favors the bigger running backs like Cordero Patterson, like Brian Robinson, Antonio Gibson, the bigger body, strong guys that are tough runners. They feast in those type of situations, no doubt.
Yeah, like you said, I don't know if it would favor anybody. I guess if I had to pick one side or the other, I would go maybe it would favor Atlanta just slightly, a little bit more, only because I feel like it would kind of possibly limit what they want to do in the passing game with Washington. And yeah, if Washington becomes one dimensional, just like if you make Atlanta one dimensional, it's going to be a long day on offense. It's probably going to not end well as far as the score goes because obviously if you're limited on offense, you're probably not going to be putting a lot of points on the board. So, yeah, if I had to go either way, I would maybe say it swings on Atlanta's way because you don't want to make Washington one-dimensional. And with Taylor always throwing the ball over the middle, throwing the ball over the middle a lot with a wet, slippery football, who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah.
The worst thing that can happen is a tip ball over the middle. It normally ends in a pick for the defense. So, yeah, but that can also swing both ways with Atlanta as well. So, yeah, I mean, wet, sloppy football. I mean, it is what it is. It's part of football. So hopefully the mistakes aren't too high on either side.
And now this next question, Corey, is from Scott Hartley in the UK. Oi! With the defense playing lights out, what position group or individual has impressed you the most so far this season?
I had a feeling that he was going to be productive, but I never thought he was going to be this productive. Derek Forrest, man, in that secondary, he has been a huge surprise. And what he's been able to do. If you go back and look at his tape at Cincinnati, he was a ball hawk on the field, but he never really got the interceptions. And the interceptions that he's gotten this year have been stupid. Like there's no other way to put it. Against Jacksonville, against Houston,
Stupid.
Just straight up. And I mean, even these interceptions that he keeps on getting, and just to fit with the physicality that he plays with. and it goes back to the oatmeal development, right? It takes a little bit. It takes a little bit while for these guys to come on, but I think he's been a pleasant surprise. He's been a great surprise on this defense, and we've had a lot of surprise on. But I think he's number one by far.
I know we've had this question before, Scotty. I know I've answered different each time, but I'm going to say Montez Sweat, to be perfectly honest. Like, we've known that Deron Payne and Jonathan Allen have kind of basically turned into this best tandem in the NFL in terms of defensive tackles. But Montez Sweat, the way that he has been steadily improving week in, week out, because the big question early in the offseason and this season was, without Chase Young, is Montez Sweat going to be productive with all eyes on him? Because Chase Young's not on the other side. And I think that he has responded well, and he's done a very good job at that. Obviously, the sacks did not translate early on, but they're starting to now. And you're seeing the benefits of working hard throughout early on in that season like he has been. So for me, it's Montez Sweat. What do you think, Hall?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Jonathan Ridgeway. I think that picking him up off the waivers, 5th-round pick, I believe, out of Arkansas from Dallas, picked him off the practice squad, and getting him in. I know a lot of people were hounding the front office for letting Tim Settle walk, cutting Ioannidis. The defensive tackle and the defensive line depth is not what it should be. And it seems like the front office, I'm not going to say they had a plan because they didn't know Ridgeway would be available, but it just seemed like they always they're very good at finding those waiver wire picks up as the late round picks. And it seems like another guy who's on a cheap contract. Obviously, people try to kill him a little bit because of the 2 penalties that he's had lately, but a lot of people have been saying for years that they want that kind of like that goon on the defensive side of the ball, that like roughneck, hard-nosed guy. And it seems like Ridgeway brings that. He's great in the running game. It seems like the defensive line guys love him in the locker room. So,
man.
Yeah, big, strong dude. So, I mean, how can you be mad at a guy that suplexes somebody and flexes afterwards, knowing damn well it's a penalty? I mean, you can't be mad at that. So, definitely a great pickup.
I saw Jess on Twitter say that he did not suplex him. He was giving him the Heimlich. He thought he was choking. Well, you're right. You're absolutely right. That's exactly what he was doing. He was trying to save that man's life, and you guys are out here trying to find him. How dare you?
Yeah, he's about to end that man's life is what's going to happen.
Now, let's go to our last fan question here, guys. This is a combined one of Tim Towner and our guy Jeff Miles. Thank you, boys. How will Benjamin St-Juste being out affect our defense, Corey? We can go rapid fire because we're about to do predictions.
Yeah, I think it's going to be – it's a bit of an unknown, to be honest with you, but I think you will see some laps in the pass defense this week without St-Juste because he's been a catalyst for those corners all year. He's been the most consistent. So it's going to be up to old hokey chokey Kendall Fuller this week to see what he can do.
Yeah, absolutely. And then obviously Christian Holmes probably going to get the call up as well, so he has to have a big game. But I do think it will affect things if it's next week against the Giants. If that's probably an issue, I think Daniel Jones could utilize that a little bit more so than Marcus Mariota, but it's always a concern. But this week, I'm not overly concerned about it, if that makes sense.
I think it was actually smart move to not put him out there this week, let him sit, get a little bit healthier for next week. Kendall Fuller plays well against the taller, bigger, and non-shifty wide receivers, and that's definitely Drake London on the outside. So, like I said earlier, I think the only thing that might be hurt on the back end is the communication.
Yep.
Because Christian Holmes is not out there every single rep, single pass play. Yeah, Benjamin St-Juste was, like I said, grown into his role, grown into that lockdown guy that we have on the outside. So, yeah, I think Kendall Fuller, like I said, he's good against the big, shifty, taller guys, and I think Christian Holmes can step in. He's had some spotty reps here and there throughout the season, so hopefully the young rookie will step up and do his thing on Sunday.
Yeah, now let's move on to our predictions, Corey. Who do you think is going to win this football game? Why? And who's going to be the MVP regardless of the team?
I think at the end of the day, it's going to be the Commanders.
Let's go 7-5, baby.
There you go. We're going 75. We're going to get ready to go up to New York. But oh gosh, yeah, I think our guys will come out. Let's go because we never ever do anything good and easy. 27-21. It'll be a heart-wrenching game as usual, so it won't be like last week where we can sit back and cruise. MVP of the game, I already told you, it's going to be one of my running backs in the backfield because I think they're going to have a dominant day. Let's go with Antonio Gibson because of he's had a revival, and I think his ascension to being an NFL running back has really is complete. with his vision is improved and everything. So I'm going to give it to him.
All right, I agree with you there. I do think it will be like a high-scoring game. Obviously, Washington is 23rd, averaging over 19 and a half per game, where Atlanta is 13th, averaging 23 and a half per matchup. But that being said, they're going against the Washington defense, so I expect those to be brought down. And then the defense for Atlanta, obviously in points per game, they're 27th, giving up 24 per game. That being said, I think Washington wins this football game. I think Washington wins it 27-24. I think the 27 is a great notch for you, Corey. Last season, they won 34-30, so anything is possible. That being said, I think the MVP is going to be Taylor Heineke. I do think that the running backs are going to eat those touchdowns, but I think that Taylor's going to throw for over 300 yards. I think that we all keep talking about the play action, the running ability, but I think they are going to be keen on stopping the run. They're going to be keen on stopping the run because they know that's what we want to do, and it's going to make it easy to pass. And I think that Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel, Jahan Dotson, Logan Thomas, definitely. They're going to get good yardage out of this. So I think that Taylor could throw for 300.
Hey, that happens. I will give praise to you on Monday for calling that one out.
Michael Irvin.
Hey, don't give up my secret.
Yeah, my prediction, I'm going to go, I think Washington gets the win as well. I think it's going to be a sloppy, kind of ugly, hard-fought game, like Corey said. Not going to be able to cruise like we did against Houston last week. It's going to be another nail-biter down to the end, down to the fourth quarter. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think both teams are going to want to run the ball. Obviously, we're going to want to pass it a little bit more, but I think it's going to be a lot of running, a lot of time getting burned off the clock really fast. I'll go low-scoring game. I'll go 22-17 Washington. And I think the MVP is going to be, I think, Cam Curl. I think he's going to lead the team in tackles this Sunday. And hopefully
gets his first pick.
Putting it to an existence. He's getting his first pick of the season.
Let's go. Hey, Jeremy Reeves, I still want that ball, dude. I asked for it 2 weeks ago. Get it to me this weekend. All right, everybody, that's going to wrap us up for this episode. I don't know what happened to Reed. He ghosted us. I don't know what happened. I'm sorry, guys, but we'll try to get an explanation for you guys, and we'll be back on Monday. Corey, I can't thank you enough for taking some time out for us, obviously on short notice. It's a holiday weekend, prepping for this Atlanta game. I can't thank you enough, sir. Bringing some much-needed energy into this podcast because it was like lull until you got in here. Can't thank you enough, Corey.
Hey, thank you guys. It's always a blast. I always got time for y'all. If I ain't on the road doing a football game or something, I always got you. And Kyle, thank you for the other week listening to dude, me on the radio.
I appreciate calling that game, dude. You had me jacked up. I was cheering for the team. It was hard for me to pinpoint which team was like you're rooting for.
Neither one.
Oh, okay.
Neither one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. That means you did a good job because you couldn't tell.
There you go. Hey, that's what I do. And look, appreciate you, brothers, and all our fans that are coming back to the fan base. We appreciate them too.
FedEx.
I'll make sure.
Hey, and Corey, we gotta do a play-by-play of one Washington game here soon. Let's get that planned out, you and I. I think you have the natural ability to do it, and I'll do it like an analytics, like secondary kind of role. Because I did it with Freddie Ham before. I would like to try it out with you one of these times if we have a time.
Absolutely, yeah. Hey, anytime we'll get this figured out. I gotta get y'all on the channel. I've had Reed on there already, so I gotta get you two on there too. So hey, it was a blast. We had a blast there.
All right, everybody. Hey, Corey, before we get out of here, would you like to plug your social media handle and your shows, just in case anybody watching would like to come follow you?
Yeah, at Sanchez 405 on all social media platforms, on the Warpath on Facebook.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. Enjoy the weekend. Have a happy holiday weekend. Black Friday today, so enjoy the sales. Get all the things you need and show up to the game on Sunday. Get ready to cheer. Hopefully, we have a big turnout of Washington fans. We need that home field advantage come back. We're 6-5, baby. We need to get to 7-5. Show up to the stadium. Let's have some fun. All right, everybody. We'll see you on Monday. I'm Kyle.
Pack the stadium, and please don't go 0-3 in the black uniforms because you might have to retire them after that.
They're not wearing the blacks.
I thought they were. Someone said
they are.
Are you sure?
Yeah, they're wearing the blacks
because I'm
it's
pretty
gonna
sure
they're just not promoting it as like a blackout game.
They just can't. I was pretty sure they can't wear the secondary uniform more than 3 times. They've already worn it twice, and they already said Dallas week 17.
No, that's a whiteout.
That's the whiteout. That's the whiteout.
Oh, that's the whiteout guy. There you go. Okay, so yes, they are doing it. My bad. All right, everybody. We'll see you on Monday. Enjoy the blackout game. Washington football. Woo! what's up, everybody? It's Kyle. I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching, and if you liked what you saw, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. That way you get notified when anything new is uploaded to the channel. Also, we just launched theburgundyzone.com. You can go there and find all of our latest news, articles, and the latest episodes that are uploaded. Again, we also have the Discord chat server, where all of our VIP folks are in, like Andy Burrows, Scott Hartley, Sergio Martin is in there as well. Don't miss out on the Discord chat server. Go and check that out. Until next time, everybody, Washington football. Woo!